Welcome to the Neabot Q11 robot vacuum. It looks a little weird, doesn't go all the way in the hole, but it sucks really well. To get the disclosures out of the way, yes, Neabot did send this to me for free for a review. However, this is not a paid review and they have absolutely no say on what I say about it. And actually, they sent me this like a month and a half ago. I just now got to it, and they have a campaign for crowdfunding that's about to expire too. So if you guys are interested and you're watching this launch day, check out that links in the description down below. I think they have some early bird specials that would allow you to get this at a discounted price from when it goes into production. And it's already funded, but you could get a discount. So I got that out of the way. Let's move on. So the Neabot Q11 automatically cleans up after itself, which is super nice. That means you can set it up on a schedule. Yeah, that has a smaller, dust collection bin in here, but it has a 2.5 liter dust collection bin in here. It does require bags still. I've mentioned this on an old Neabot review that I did where I'm like, you have to have the bags and what happens when the bags are gone, but whatever. You have to get the bags or you have to cut one of these open and create your own reusable bag with some Velcro. It is still nice though having the automatic cleaning thing going on. That way you just send it out to do its thing and you don't have to worry about it getting full. And I have recently, when I was testing this, realized that something like this definitely needs a way to clean itself, especially since there's now a furry object in my house. Before that, the specs. The Neabot Q11 has 4,000 pascals of suction. It's a self-emptying bin with a 2.5 liter capacity for advanced beam lidars. And these lidars are built into the side. They're not sticking out the top. So this is actually a really big deal and I really like this. It uses DTOF detection for 3D mapping, which gives it a critical advantage in object detection. Basically what that means is that, albeit not perfect, it will avoid some objects on the ground without bumping into them because it uses a 3D mapping technology rather than just a 2D. So hypothetically speaking, if you have a very large dog that takes a very large crap in the middle of your living room, something that's over 2 centimeters, it will detect that and go around it rather than gracefully spread it all around your apartment. I know some of you might be a little let down by that because that is horrible, but if, however, said crap is less than 2 centimeters off the ground, it will probably still run it over and spread it everywhere. So, proceed with caution. Now the Q11 does have a mopping feature, and here's kind of cool thing here. The mopping feature is just this little add-on. The tank is part of the dust bin collector, so you don't have to do anything besides put water in there, and then you just slide this onto the back. Just like that. 300 milliliters of water is held in here simultaneously with the dust collecting bin, and here's kind of a cool thing. It will vacuum in front of itself while mopping. If you really want to use this as a mop, which I don't, but if you do, it will. Let me explain. Over the course of the years of me testing out different robot vacuums and robot moppers, it always comes down to the same thing. The mop is literally just a towel on the back that gets wet periodically and dragged around the floor, right? It's really good at doing things like keeping dust off of your floor, cleaning up some very basic spills that are recent and haven't been stuck on. It's really just a maintainer. It really doesn't have any use. And sometimes, most of the time, it's almost more hassle what it's worth to get that mop up and going when you can just go get a towel or something and clean up a mess. I have recently reviewed the Narwhal mop, which has a vacuum built in. That vacuum does not suck. It sucks, but it doesn't suck, enough. You know what I mean? Kind of sucks. It sucks in a bad way. Let's just go with that. But the mopping feature is amazing. It has a spinning, self-cleaning, self-circulating water. It's got intake water and exit water. It's crazy. I mean, it's a $1,600 self-mopping vacuum, so it better be crazy. But that thing can do a really good job at mopping the floor. This thing drags a wet cloth around and may or may not get everything. So I did test it out just to see, and yes, it would be really good at vacuuming the floors and then cleaning up some of the dust behind it with the mop. So it is somewhat useful in the maintenance aspect of just kind of keeping your house from looking filthy. But for any real mop job, I would probably just break out the Swiffer. I don't know. What do normal people mop with? Also, you can store up to 3 separate maps on this robot vacuum, which means that you can have 3 different levels. If you can move it automatically, it will go around, it will memorize and figure out where it is. So if you have a basement, a middle floor, and a top floor, you can have all of those maps saved on here, which is really nice because the mapping system on the Neabot Q11 is legit. I really do like it. It does a very fantastic job of creating just crisp lines and easily separating rooms. That way, you know what's the kitchen, living room, bedroom, etc. The mapping system is on point, and I definitely like that. I used to be super impressed with Roborock mapping technology, but Neabot has really kind of stepped up their game, and now, considering a lot of the Roborock vacuums don't do well on carpet, by the way, this one, no problem whatsoever on thick carpet. Since that's been a thing with Roborock, I'm now just like a Neabot fanboy. And I said this before in the last one they sent me that had a self-emptying vacuum, although that one did not suck as hard. I think it was like 3,000 pascals worth of suction. But this thing has 4,000. This thing sucked up so much crap that its little bin collector thing could not suck it through. That's how thick it was. It just kept sucking and packing on its first run that it literally clogged up the dust collection bin, and I had to manually empty it. Granted, this thing was really thick. Lots of hair, lots of stuff that I already put on the ground just to test it out. It was overloaded. I ran it a second time and it did not get overloaded, but it got full again and collected a whole lot more. This time it worked and sucked it up, you know, the way it should have. And then I ran it a third time and it still got full. So basically, I guess I just keep running until, you know, my carpet's gone. And the last thing I want to get to before I talk about the plus and minuses here is the pairing. So this has 2 options, the basic option of pairing with Wi-Fi, or you can use Bluetooth to help assist you connect this device to your Wi-Fi network, which is kind of nice. If you are having issues connecting, it is nice to have a backup plan. And on that note, this requires its own app, like a newer app. This new app works with other things probably, but the old Neabot Home app does not work. So you have to download a new one. I know, I tried the old one, would not recognize it, would not connect. So you get the new one. It's newer, bigger, better, smarter, I guess. Got a lot more features and all that stuff. Just make sure you download the new app. So let's talk about some of the things I don't like about this robot vacuum. One I've already touched base on. It's the mop. So with this thing, it just slides over, right? And it has Velcro on this side, and you just slide it on and off, right? You can clean it, throw it in the wash, whatever you want to do. But it is literally just a wet, damp cloth. Right? It does automatically squirt water through here and keep it going, so it does stay damp throughout its cleaning process, and it seems to do an okay job, you know, getting just about everywhere it goes wet. But at the end of the day, it's just, it doesn't clean up a whole lot because it's just dragging a damp cloth across the floor. This is not necessarily a problem with this vacuum. It's a problem with the style of robot mopping vacuums. Of course, if you want something like that narwhal that I talked about, you're gonna be spending $1,500, which is more than double the price of this. So, you know, that you get what you pay for, and it's a whole different type of technology. However, I will say it does do a good job of keeping the towel moist as it goes around, and it did technically clean up some of the dust. So, you know, it works. I'll just never use it again. The app, okay? Again, I did not read instructions because who needs instructions? I try to use the Neabot app, and this was a point of frustration for me for a while because I couldn't get it to pair. And then I looked at the very large, quick setup help thing that says, do not use Neabot Home, download new app, right? So as long as you're gonna set this up and go straight to that new app, you'll be fine. But if you're like me, and you're hard-headed and don't wanna read instructions and like to figure things out by yourself and then pay for it in the long run, well, rest in peace. The new app does seem to offer a few more features. However, while I was kind of running my experiments and you know, watching it on the app, I did notice that the new app does not update the location of where the robot is in its cleaning cycle, as far as, you know, the little screen showing the lines and stuff like that. So it's not updated as often. I would literally watch a robot vacuum in the bedroom just do this, 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 and this, and it's just stuck in one area on the app. So the new app has more features. The new app looks better. It's probably better all around, but it may or may not update all the time until you show you exactly where the mop or the vacuum is in its cleaning process. I'll still count it as a win, but it was frustrating for me just because I didn't read. Because reading's hard. Speaking of win, I said this before, this has no bump on the top. Almost every vacuum I run into has a bump. This has no bump. Look at that. That means this thing is 3.4 inches tall, right? 3.4 inches tall. That makes this one of the thinner, not the thinnest. There's this one's 87 millimeters, 3.4 inches. I did find an 85 millimeter, so there is one that's a little bit shorter. But if you have couches, chairs, whatever that, you know, don't allow the robot vacuums that have the bump sticking out that's, you know, shooting radar everywhere or LiDAR everywhere, then those will get stuck. This one won't. It'll happily go underneath anything it can go under without having the way to get stuck with this little bump. On my other vacuums, because of the way my kitchens are and they overlap and stuff like that, it would literally, the bump would get stuck underneath the cabinets, right? And it would just wobble around and they'd get stuck. This happens to almost all of the robot vacuums that I have, just because the bump's in the front or whatever, and it just catches itself. With this, it hasn't gotten stuck yet, with the exception of one time. And that was because it took 12 inches of a really long black rope, like straight to the face, right? It broke down. I had to go I was getting phone calls for like video offers. It was so crazy. So that was the only time it broke down. That was because it took a lot to do it. And the mapping, again, it does a 3D map and it has 4 LiDARs in there. It uses 3D systems to create a map. It can avoid obstacles as it goes. So it's going to probably still bump into a couple things. It's absolutely not perfect, but it is a lot better at avoiding small objects. And the mapping that you have on your phone is super simple to break down and create different rooms. That way you can tell it you only want to vacuum this or you want to vacuum that. You can create schedules. You can tell it what you want it to do. And you know, as you would expect, the mapping system is really easy to use. But about that suction, okay? About that suction, I had another white robot that I was using alongside my narwhal mopper, right? Because that other robot had a 3 or 3,500 Pascal suction power. I forgot what brand it was, but it was the best robot vacuum I had. It didn't have a self-emptying bin, but it sucked way better than the narwhal vacuum did. The narwhal is a mopping thing, right? It does not do well with actually vacuuming. So I was running 2 with them, one with auto, one with not, and the one without it cannot hold a candle to how powerful this thing is. It's loud, but not too loud. It actually seems, you know, pretty quiet compared to how much it actually sucks up. But 4,000 Pascals, that's like top of the market right now. That is some high-end stuff. And it doesn't matter what the battery power is because it'll automatically go back, recharge, and then continue. Like, you know, any good robot vacuum will. So 4,000 Pascals of suction. Now you can set it lower if you're, let's say, going on hardwood floors. It'll automatically adjust and ramp up its suction power whenever it detects carpet. But still, this thing has some power behind it and can actually do a really good job deep cleaning some of the crap that you find in your carpet, like cat hair and everything else cat related. Not the cat yet, I've tried, but old bastard can run really fast. The dust collection bin holds the water, puts all the dust stuff in here, automatically dumps when it's full, and it has the water that you can fill in right here. So everything is contained in one unit. This means that it can clean in front of itself and then wipe up after itself, which is nice. That's probably the only use case scenario where I would say, hey, I have a dusty floor, let's put the mopping thing on there, and let's clean that up. Because the vacuum's only gonna do so much on hardwood floors. So, you know, wet cloth being drug around to get the dust up, it's probably gonna look a little bit better. Especially if you put like chemicals in it, you know? I don't know. Like some floor mopping thing. So that's it, guys. If you're looking for a mop, an advanced mopping robot vacuum, probably look somewhere else. Check out that narwhal. If you got the money to throw on something like that that's super advanced, then you want some really deep, you know, mopping power, check out the narwhal. However, if you want the biggest, baddest vacuum on the market with a self-emptying bin, Neabot might be your answer. I personally am not a huge fan of having to buy bags, but it does make it clean and easy to swap out and kind of keeps things from getting in the air. And you know, there's pros and cons to it. But hands down, this is now the most powerful vacuum in my arsenal. 4,000 Pascals, this thing sucks more up than it can even handle. Only thing I can say about that, and this could come in a firmware update, is that I set the automatic dust collection to every 30 minutes. It takes about an hour to clean my house, or at least the parts that I let it clean. It never dumped midway. And then when it was finally finished and it went to go dump, it was overloaded because it never did a mid dump. So I tested that again, same thing. It will not automatically do the 30-minute dump. So I'm pretty sure that's probably going to be fixed or addressed in some kind of a future firmware upgrade. It's literally just a command in there. And I assume that if it would have dumped midway, it probably wouldn't have got so full that it clogged itself up. But I had a lot of crap in there, and I am really not even going to hold that against it because it was packed. It was a lot, and I don't even blame it. If you want a super powerful vacuum that automatically collects, looks kind of stylish, but, you know, doesn't go all the way in the hole, Exhibit A, this might be a solution for you. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, make sure to post those in the comments down below. Of course, I will post a link to its funding page, and then after that's done, whatever they post on, whether it's Amazon or whatever, I will update the links accordingly, depending on where that goes. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you Neabot for sending me this vacuum. Sorry Neabot, it took so long. I've been busy. Like and subscribe below and have yourself a great day.